afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this edition of Interview here on DBS Television. In this edition, we will be talking economic issues, and our guest is out of the country. We are talking about Dbs Chi. She is a Cameroonian, UK-based executive producer. She is a finance leader, and she is an author. Her work cuts across culture, emotional intelligence, wealth, leadership, with the aim to bring about human transformation. It is on this notion of human transformation that we wish to dwell in this edition of Interview. Let's have our guest. Good afternoon, Dbs Chi, and thank you for talking to DBS Television.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited that you asked me to come on today to have this conversation, and I cannot wait for us to get into it.
We said in our introduction, you are a UK-based executive producer, you are an author, and your work cuts across culture, emotional intelligence, wealth, leadership, with the aim to bring about human transformation. Our topic of today is the concept of work ethics in our economy. What is the impact in our economy? And that is why we are talking of the concept of work ethics, impact in our economy, as the title. We begin with getting our notions clear. Exactly, when we talk of work ethics, what is it basically?
What work ethics is the standards, the level of expectations, and the values that we as individuals bring into the workforce, into the job market, or let's just call it the workforce. When we talk about the workforce, it's a lot of times we're complaining, oh, we don't have jobs. That's all we know about the workforce or the job market. But there's so much more about the job market or the workforce. The workforce is the most one of the most powerful tool in our economy. It opens so much up for a country and the people, and right down to the individual. For example, the workforce, if we have a strong work ethic within the workforce, we would help to generate revenue for the country. We would help through taxes. The employers will pay tax, the employees will pay tax, and it would help the government fund public services like health, education, and different things, policing, security in our neighborhoods. And also, it helps generate money in terms of creating wealth, increasing the GDP of the economy of our country. And for me, one of the most powerful things that I always would think about when I think of Cameroon is increasing the demand and supply. It puts money in the pockets of consumers so that they can go out and spend money, and so that that money goes back into the economy and the economy is flourishing. And so force is one of the most powerful tools in shifting how our economy is doing, and in creating and generating freedom, prosperity for a society and for our country.
Concept of work ethics in the labor market, do employers and employees, do they share the same understanding of what work ethics is actually?
I think if a lot of times they don't. From my experience, a lot of times employers and employees don't, because an employer has different problems and an employee has different problems. I'm coming to get a job from you because maybe I need to pay my house rent, I need to pay my bills, my children need to go to school. You as an employer, you want to keep creating this product, good and services. You want to make profit. You've already invested so much capital. You've taken money from the bank, hundreds and hundreds of millions of pounds. So your motivations, you have different problems to solve, and compared to what an employee wants to solve. And so that is why we talk about work ethic. So in that place of work ethic, we can all align our intentions. We can align expectations so that we can all move a one vision, one mission, and so everybody gets satisfied, and then we are all doing what we came together to do in that particular business.
Ethics, let's take the context of our country, or of Cameroon. Now, what are those elements that we would put in place to say that this is an example of this work ethics that we are talking about? Perhaps, do you consider it present within our economy, within our context, within our society?
That's a good question, Vanassu. Like, thank you for asking that. Few years ago, I'm thinking a lot about Cameroon, thinking about the economy, I'm thinking about what is that thing that when we shift it, economy would make people become prosperous. And then from last year, I had the privilege of going into the workforce, employing people, having this amazing creative team. I've had some personal observations myself. I've had some personal challenges myself, and I could some of the gaps in the market. I think the workforce, the professionals that are coming out of universities, they are not being taught how to go into the what it takes to be in the job market, to be employable, to keep your employment long term, and for your employer to depend on you, rely on you, count on you to create wealth with them in a way that is sustainable and that can shift the society. I've got 6 points. One of the things that is basic in terms of work ethic, in terms for a professional who has just come out of University of Boya to be employable, is number one is character. And you will not find us talking about character on the mainstream. On your television, you wouldn't have a show talking about character. They will leave that maybe to the churches or to little groups, but it is so important. Who you are in your character is more important, which means who are you in terms of you being yourself, and also who are you when nobody is looking at you. Do you keep your words? Are you reliable? Can they depend on you? And so your gift and your talent, your knowledge will take you into the room, but your character will keep you in that room again and again for so many years. And that's one of the things I have found is the challenge in Cameroon workforce, being an employer at the moment in Cameroon. The other thing as well is consistency. Do you show up again and again? Because during the interview, you will say to the employer, this is what I'm capable of, these are the things that I can do. But it only takes 5 minutes, it takes 2 weeks, 1 month. You don't show up and do the things you told them during the interview that you're going to do. Um, you're not consistent, you're not reliable, your deliverables don't match with the expectations of the employer. And Vinicius, let me say this, one of the things that I have observed is that you employ these people, they come and they want to tell you how to do their job. Instead of saying, what are the expectations? What would success look like in this role now that you've hired me? They're not inquisitive. They don't want to understand what would it take for me to be successful in this company, in these organizations. What are the milestones? What would success look like in 3 months' time for me? Have this conversation with your employer, with your line manager. Let them spell it out for you because they are willing to support you to be successful. And the other thing is collaboration. Vinicius, a lot of these people, young professionals, they don't know how to collaborate. They don't know how to work in teams. And I can promise you, you're sitting on this interview with me. You have a bunch of people with you today, isn't it? You didn't show up here and become a superman. You have to work with a team. And when we don't have those collaborative skills and tendency, they won't teach you in University of Boya if you're doing science or medicine. You won't be there. They won't teach you in your accounting. I'm an accountant. It wasn't one of my modules, but it's one of the things for me to have for my employer. As a matter of fact, they would ask you, are you collaborative? Give me an example when you showed collaboration. You have to list it. And so it's a big issue. And so you don't want to collaborate with your team member and you don't want to support them. And so one of the things that I have also seen is that when you don't have the collaborative skills, you don't think about how you doing your work affect people. How does your colleague feel working with you? How does your employer feel working with you? Because if you are someone who create a lot of chaos, every minute we're going into a meeting room to have a meeting with you, it's costing the business. It's costing me as an employer. You're costing me money. You're costing me my time. So I don't want to hire someone who I would be in meeting rooms with every 5 minutes to regulate or to be solving a problem. The other thing is contribution. Bear with me, Vanassus. It's contribution. They go into the job force. This is important. They haven't thought about what they're bringing to the table. All they've thought about is the salary they're going to take. And you would confirm with me that this is predominant in the Cameroon job market in the West. If you want to get me as a client, you need to be telling me what you're going to do to change my life. I go for an interview. I need to tell that man, the hiring manager, how I being on their team is going to take them from that place to the next. What is the extra thing you're going to bring to my team? How far are you willing to go to make sure I, as an employer, succeed in my business? And I don't find that in my experience of hiring Cameroonians, and I find a lot of other business owners also saying the same thing. They don't go the extra mile. They don't think about what they're bringing to the table, contribution. What value are you creating with you being on the team? What difference are you making apart from you fulfilling your task? What are you helping? What research are you creating for your employer? Are you bringing innovation? Because these are the things that help the economy when a business is innovative. And how can a business be innovative? You can only be innovative if you have your team and your staff that is innovative and that is bringing contribution to the table beyond the task that they said they want to come and do. And one of the big one is emotional stability. It's so massive for me. When you look in the landscape of the culture in Cameroon, bear with me, Venatius. When we look at the landscape in terms of the culture, in terms today we're talking about the workforce, if we don't have professionals who know how to handle their emotions, we would not be able to have a powerful workforce. When we don't have professionals who can handle challenges, Venatius, I promise you, even before coming here, you had challenges with your team. Connecting, unexpected things would happen. You're not only going to have it with your team, you're going to have it with your manager, you're going to have it on the job. It's life. But the question is, who are you when these challenges happen? Who are you when go according to your way? Who when things are all over the place? You have the ability to listen and understand before reacting. Do you have the ability to sit down and know that life is tough? The nationals, I have a feeling that people in Cameroon think it's easy in the West. It's not. I've had to pay my dues. I told you the other day, I've been homeless in this country for years. I never took a dime from the government. I'm not sure you hear me well. People think the solution is coming abroad. And with the kind of work we don't have, those can cross over. The West would test your character. The West would test your work ethics because they won't give you a job in the corporate if you just think your talent is enough. If you think your degree is enough, you will not be able to break through interviews because Venatius, to be honest with you, I went through multiple rounds of interviews. Why? Because everybody make sure that they are hiring someone who will not come and cause with drama, with confusion. They're hiring someone who will come and add to what they're doing. And so the last one that I was saying, and I hand it back to you, is that a lot of us in the workforce in Cameroon, we don't have purpose. You don't. You're working for DBS, the Nationals, for example, but you have a purpose. You're a journalist. There's a higher call. There's a reason why you allow the call of a journalist to come through you. It's not only because you want to provide for your family, but it's because you know that's why you were placed here on earth. And so the container and the vessel which you're being allowed to walk in this calling is DBS. DBS is giving you the opportunity to manifest this calling. And so a lot of us in the workforce in Cameroon, we are completely disconnected. Why were we looking for job? We're looking because we want to pay our rent. If that's the only reason you're in the job market, then I will not be able to employ you because it will only be a matter of weeks. You're going to walk away. Because if you have something greater that you are pursuing, if you have destiny that you are going after, you know that your job in DBS is bigger than just paying rent. is bigger than just putting food on your table. You're saying, is there not a cost for me to use my voice to make Cameroon a better place? Is there not a voice for me to wake up 5 a.m. in the morning and show up on that interview, even if nobody watches? Someday, 1 million people are going to watch because I am consistent with my calling, with my. If every individual, being a nurse, being a medical doctor, so I have nurses here that travel around donating their skills that they've learned because of a higher purpose. And so I find Cameroonians, they're only looking for bread and butter, and there's nothing wrong with that. But if you attach that bread and butter for your kids, let me take this thing out. If you look at your children and you say, is there not a cause? You go to work thinking of the food that you would provide for your kids, you would be of good behavior on that job, because you would know that that job is doing so much more for you than your ability to walk away over every conflict, over every disagreement. Is there not a cause greater? And so I see all these things within Cameroon, and these are just the foundational level. If I offer it to us, if we begin to think about this thing, I believe we would do better and not just wait for the government to come give us jobs or create jobs. If we work with those businesses that are creating wealth and trying, if we support them, they would hire more people and the economy would flourish, and the government, we would help the government. It's time for us to help the government and not just wait for the government to help us.
Thank you so much. I loved when you were speaking. I was like asking myself, are these young job seekers, those who are in companies back home, are they really following what we're saying? Because the whole issue is, if you ask a young man now in Cameroon, what is your dream? The dream is to go out there. Do you think that out there, do you have what it takes to withstand the charge, the challenges out there? But then, you said something about these concepts of work ethics that are not being trained in our, or being given in our schools. Now, how can this work ethics education be integrated in our school training curricula such that it could be a reality rather than being, theoretical concepts that they pass over to students in universities and in our secondary schools?
That's a good question. I think we can start by, making sure that government officials listen to interviews like this. Because to be honest, it just takes, them becoming aware of real problems, and the government cannot see everything that's wrong. And that's why we as citizens have to use our voice, use your platform, Vanessa, to speak. So when they see interviews like this, they're gonna become aware, oh, so this is the issue, this is the gap, and this is what we can do to close the gap. Right curriculums that would help them. Maybe say last year of their university, create a course, a curriculum into one month where you train them how to prepare for the job market, how to. It's not just enough to write a CV. It's you can go to ChatGPT and write a CV. But can you be in that company for more than 1 month? In this country, they have what they call probationary period. They'll give you 6 months or 3 months to test you whether what you said at the interview is really who you are. And if you're not, they're gonna sack you. People listening, how many times have you been sacked? And we say the job market is tough. It was just the other day, I remember resigning from a company, and then in 4 days I have another job. Why? Because I have trained myself. I understand the job market. I understand what it takes. And I didn't just get here. I did a lot of study and preparation, what you're asking me about. And so if we can incorporate this in our universities, let's say a university program of 1 year for nurses and doctors, accountant, on their last year, do a curriculum where you teach them how to be collaborative. They do some activities. You do presentation of your dissertation. All of that is to develop those skills, how to communicate and how to present. But if we begin to teach them how important your character is going to be, how important collaboration is going to be, how important it is to contribute, go the extra mile in your company. That's how you get a promotion. That's how to connect with higher purpose. It would be good. And NGOs as well, station up and begin to offer these services as a way of just charity in the community. And so I am willing, if you would come in my inbox, go to the Love Lab Show TV on Facebook, send me an email that you're coming from DBS. I'm willing to make a free Zoom and train people in Cameroon. I'm open to make time for that, even though I'm busy. And so people who are listening, NGOs and the government who are listening, should begin to think about these things to help the job market, because it would incredibly help the government. Instead of the people fighting with the government is fighting with them. We need the workforce to pay taxes. We need the businesses to pay taxes so we can increase our GDP and have a thriving economy where people can spend money, buy expensive cars. Why not? Why are you not going to buy a Lamborghini? Why are you not going to drive a Lamborghini? You're going to complain of a road. Why not? All of that money can come from the job market, so we can fund good roads, so people can drive Lamborghini. People, the luxury, ban can increase. People are into more luxury instead of just fighting for your basic needs. And so my dream is when we see more self-made people living in luxury and not just meeting their basic needs.
Before our time runs out, I wanted to find out from you if you were to make one or two proposals or reforms to, priority reforms to strengthen work ethics in economic performance in this country. What would that be?
I would tell the young professionals to get hungry. I would tell them to take time to find what your purpose is. If your purpose is to go on social media and make content, first of all, know what how it's impacting people, because man of God, I see a lot of them going there and they do drama. That drama, it's negative. It's against the spiritual law. So it's not going to attract the things that you're going to attract. It's going to fill you, surround you with negativity. Sit down, look at your family, look at where you're coming from. You may be the generational curse breaker. Sit down. What is your calling? What's your higher purpose? And take your time, find mentors. Mentors is free. If you are coachable, anybody will mentor you. If you can listen, learn, and grow, everybody will help you. The other thing I want to say, young professional, make sure you hold yourself accountable. Make sure you have someone who holds you accountable for your character. Make sure you have someone who holds you accountable for your emotional maturity. This is the only way you're going to grow. I have coaches that I'm accountable to. I tell my coach, this is what I do, and my coach would hold me accountable, would correct me. I paid these people money to tell me off. That's how desperate you are. I think that's where we can start. I don't want to overload anybody. You're a young professional market. It's not hard to get a job. Just go take some time, think about what you want, think about you go in that interview, you tell them I'm passionate about creating this, I bring extra value, I'm gonna go this extra mile, this is what I'm gonna take your company in 6 months, give me a try. These are the things that I do on my spare time. This is the number of hours I've been training when I was not paid. This is the number of hours I've been volunteering my skills, even though it was unpaid. And I promise you, I will hire you on a heartbeat. Because what every employer wants, Vinicius, is results. Can you give me those results in 6 months? I will pay you anything you ask me if you give me the result that I want, and you take stress away from me, you take worry away from me. That employer, you become indispensable. And so if you're not getting job, go sit down with yourself and listen to this interview, make some note, do the things that I've said. And I promise you in the next 3 months, your employer would increase your pay, or they will pay you ridiculous amount because they cannot afford not to have you on their team and in their company.
We would have loved to continue this discussion, but our producer is telling us that our time is off. But then let's just take maybe 30 seconds. Can we cure in AI? We are at the age of modern technologies. The way that in artificial intelligence can bring in something added value to this notion of work ethics.
I mean, you can use AI to educate yourself, to tell you how to prepare for a job, and if I don't know, AI would reflect you what you want it to reflect. So if you want AI to pamper you, it's gonna pamper you. If you want AI to talk straight with you and call you out to tell you the things that you're not doing well, it's gonna do that. So it depends on how you want to use AI. I value use AI, but also connect with human beings, connect with people to support you, do research on, use AI to be honest with you, but connect with human beings, people who love you, people who would hold you accountable, even while you're using AI to prepare yourself to be what you need to be in the job market. I would mostly recommend connect with a human being, connect with a coach with a mentor, because they're going to tell you what you don't want to know, what you don't want to hear, and that's where growth happens, and that's where success begins.
Soon we will be leaving our studio, but then tell us just a bit about this love lab, so that because we have to talk about it. It's a society, and there's no way we can exclude that from the society.
Absolutely. Love Lab is an initiative. When I looked at Cameroon, it's part of what we're talking about. How can I make a contribution? And I see a lot of fighting, striving, war. How can I open the doors to love? And Love Lab is not just a dating show, it's a portal where we can open the doors to love, loving ourselves, having compassion for one another. And you see these young people on the show. We've just released the episode, it's on YouTube. Go to YouTube, the Love Lab Show TV on YouTube. You see these young people getting in touch with their pain, getting in touch with their stories, sharing their stories. I promise you, you're going to see yourself in their stories. You're going to say, so it's not just me that's giving up. And love is the most powerful positive emotion there is. Where there's love, everything multiplies. Where there's peace, everything multiplies. If we look into our culture of Venasius, we're fighting with the government, we're fighting with our neighbors, we're fighting with our families. But I want to offer us something. Let's open up again to love, unconditional love, love beyond and above. And you see how prosperity is going to come, because everywhere there's genuine, authentic love, prosperity, people flourish, because everyone is looking for love. Whether we say we're close or we're tired of love, every one of us in this world, we're looking for love. And that's why it says God is love, and every one of us want to be loved, want to share our lives, want to be understood. And so for me, the concept is really opening the door to the highest emotions again for the nation, so we can begin to see prosperity, we can begin to see peace, we can see joy, and then from there we can build a powerful workforce that can make us multiply finances and money and make people thrive, come out of the band of just survivor and living luxuriously, having more than enough. So that's my concept for the show. And I encourage a lot of people. We have over 230 cast applications right now for our next season. I know that gives me hope that Cameroon wants to love again. They're open for love. So I'm excited for people to jump on board. Come look us up on Facebook. We can't wait to connect with you.
Thank you so much, Delis Chi. It was our pleasure talking to you, and we would be looking forward that we take this discussion. Our society needs it. We take it further and explore as much topics as we could.
Absolutely. Let's do this again. Let's talk about so many other topics, and I hope that people watch this, share it with everybody they know. NGOs hear this and create things to help the people. Government leaders think about what we've just talked about and incorporate it into universities to get our young people prepared for the workforce so our economy can thrive. Thank you so much, Vanessa, and your team. I'm so delighted to have been on here today.
Thank you so much, Delis Chi. She's a finance leader and author, Cameroonian UK-based executive producer. That's all we had time for this edition of Interview. If you did not follow us from the beginning on Friday, you would still have the opportunity to follow us. That would be from 2:30 p.m. until we have another opportunity to be here. That was a pleasure being at your service. Goodbye from all of us here.